Hello, I'm Catherine Logan, coming to you today from the GBTA VDR Europe Conference in Hamburg. Joining me in the broadcast studio is Keesup Choe, CEO of PredictX. Keesup, welcome to our broadcast studio. Well, once again, you're taking part in our conference and bringing another fantastic education session on the rise of AI agents. Now, we know that PredictX is already pioneering the use of AI agents with the launch earlier this year of Cogent. So tell us, how can a virtual agentic workforce support a travel team? And are these agents really going to revolutionize the way that corporate travel is managed?
Yeah, one way to think about it is it's not, AI and AI agents are not isolated to travel, right? So it's a massive movement that's going on. And if you think about it, did the internet revolutionize the way travel is managed, right? Obviously, yeah. But so thinking about trying to pinpoint exactly how it's going to happen, it maybe isn't as useful as understanding this massive wave happening on every area of business. And then asking the question, is somehow travel the exception? And the answer probably is no, right? So then it's a question of how do we start working with it? How do we start learning about it? How do we adapt it to the needs of the corporate travel manager? So I think that's the key. The good news is that I think a lot of travel managers now getting much more comfortable, even just working on ChatGPT for their own use. And they also don't tend to be overstaffed, these travel teams. So it's not like they're worried about massive number of people who might not have a job or whatever. It's more about, for the foreseeable future, the AI and AI agents are just going to be helping them get more performance, more productivity, more output, more automation for quite some time before having to worry about any sort of impact on the workforce, I think.
Yeah, I suppose it's the one thing that we can't create is time, and this seems to be that's what is giving it back.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the concerns that's always raised about AI is if say the rise of AI agents are going to result in job losses.
Yeah.
Are teams or people right to be concerned about this?
I don't think any person should be worried unless they resist it completely, refuse to learn about it, refuse to study it, refuse to think about how they could use it. Then I think, like those who might have done the same thing with the internet, it would be trouble. But if you think about it, these sort of disruptions, maybe not quite as massive as this, has been happening for a long time. Before the OBT, there were human agents doing all the booking, right? And they're still human agents, and but some of those tasks are being taken by online booking tools, which now it seems obvious, but I think back then it still took a little time for that adoption, and companies some of them are still measuring online adoption, right? So it's in one sense, it's happening much faster than people are comfortable with. On another sense, I think it's going to take time before people start waking up to how they can start using it. And I think there's been several studies, which should make people feel a little bit more comfortable, is that the biggest application of AI are actually things that no humans are currently doing, because it would take too many people, too much time to actually do these things. So rather than just replacing a person, So I think there are lots of so it's like these tasks just were never getting done are now completely getting done by AI, which is different than replacing some humans' actual work.
Yeah, so it's like the volume and the speed of analysis that can happen or whatever is being supported by this. Okay, so moving on to another topic. How big an issue is travel and expense fraud in the business travel industry, and is PredictX seeing any particular trends around this and how AI could help to combat travel and expense fraud?
It's a big issue, right? I think in the last few weeks, I don't know, the Atlanta Hawks, which is a U.S. NBA team, they reported over 2 million, close to $3 million of T&E fraud, yeah? Which is actually not the biggest fraud. It seems to be happening in U.S. sports teams, but the NFL team, the Jaguars, reported 6 point something million in fraud. On one hand, I think the studies have shown that long-term behavioral fraud, which is the most dangerous, has been in place for a long time, forever really. Whether it's people just fudging their mileage or whatever, these things have been going on for a long time. What's happened, and talk about AI, some of the problems is being caused by AI. Because now, even on ChatGPT, although it's getting harder, they're trying to fix ChatGPT to prevent this. You can get pretty much of a replica invoice or receipt generated, which is completely fictional. So if you wanted to create a hotel receipt for a non-existent hotel stay, you could generate that, and you could submit that. And if the expense system or if you're not using tools like ours that will identify that as an AI-generated receipt, you may very well pay out on that, right? So that's, some people are saying up to 10% of all expense claims have these fake receipts. Now, I think that might be a little high, but it's not zero. So I think humans examining these things are probably not going to pick them up. So almost you need the AI to identify another AI.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's because if you're going through, you're approving, you just scan, it looks fine, and you go with it. While the AI sees a different thing.
That's right. And there's something to do with the way all companies do expense reports, right? They tend to have people submitting to be approved by their manager, right? And maybe there's a secondary manager approving a big team, and it's just human nature. It's not. None of these managers had in their job description expense approval, right? So it's something they don't want to do. And then it gets piled up, and then once people start screaming loud enough about where's my expense, then they start going on approve, right? It's kind of what happens, and there's not a single company that I've met that all the managers are then go to a training course on expense fraud identification and management, right? They don't tend to have these sort of training programs. So therefore, the number of things that just pass through are quite high. So you really need a system that can automatically catch these things.
So rather than replacing a job, it's doing a job that's not being done properly right now.
And they don't want to be doing these jobs. So imagine the relief with the managers to say that it's all been examined and pre-approved for you, and then when they normally do their approves, they know that they're all legit.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Well, Keesup, thank you so much for joining us today in the broadcast studio, and thank you for tuning in.